Hi, this is Michael Powell for Film Seller Media, and on today's episode of Trailer v Movie, we're going to be looking at Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope from 1977. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to play the trailer, and I'm going to stop it at various points throughout, and I'm going to compare the quality and selling points of what we see in the trailer, and see how they stacked up against the movie itself. Here we go.
Somewhere in space, this may all be happening right now. 20th Century Fox and George Lucas, the man who brought you American Graffiti, now bring you an adventure unlike anything on your planet. Star Wars.
Here they come. Coming in too fast!
Okay, so the first selling point is this is an adventure unlike anything on your planet, and that includes cool-ass space battles and spaceships. You know what? I'm going to give the trailer a pass for that. We don't see a lot, given that a lot of special effects weren't completed when the trailer came out in late 1976, but I still think it gives us a pretty good idea that, this is obviously set in outer space. We see some cool spaceships. We see the TIE Fighter and the Millennium Falcon. We get a glimpse of Chewbacca. So we get a sense that, this is obviously something taking place in outer space. It's something different. And I think the trailer does a good job of selling that. Now, as for the movie itself, holy shit, was this ever unlike anything anybody had ever seen before? It just blew everybody right out of the water. It really this movie just transported everybody who saw it to this other world. And normally I'd give the movie section 1 check mark, but because it's fucking Star Wars, I'm gonna give it 4.
The story of a boy, a girl, and a universe. It's a big, sprawling space saga of rebellion and romance.
A big, sprawling space saga of rebellion and romance. Sorry, but you know what? I don't see it here. It doesn't sell it in the trailer very well. I see I see Princess Leia, who's got these Danish hair buns and at the side of her head. I see some cool-looking dude with a black mask and a round robot with a syringe sticking out of it. I see some guy in a black vest and a white shirt shooting at these other white guys in plastic suits. No context. I have no idea what's happening. There's nothing about rebellion, nothing about romance. But the movie itself, well, I mean, the whole story was about the Rebel Alliance's efforts to take down the Empire. So, I think that aspect of the story is reflected really well in the movie. And as for the romance itself, you know what? I'll admit there's not a lot of romance. There's a hint of a relationship developing between Han Solo and Princess Leia about 3/4 of the way through the movie, but that's not really explored in any depth until The Empire Strikes Back. But I think you could take that notion of romance and apply it to just the romantic tone of the movie and how it sort of harkens back to the old serials from the 1940s and 50s that George Lucas was trying to recreate. Okay, let's keep going.
It's a spectacle, light years ahead of its time.
I am C-3PO, human cyborg relations, and this is my counterpart, R2-D2. Hello.
Spectacle light years ahead of its time. Are you effing kidding me? I see some gold robot coming out of being elevated from this platform. I see a shot of a guy in a white robe scraping the head of another robot. I see some dark, roughly cut footage of something happening in some kind of bar or something like that. Come on, guys, that's not a spectacle light years ahead of its time. And that's what I think the movie on the other hand, does so well. I mean, this was just so far ahead of its time in terms of visual effects, sound effects, John Williams' legendary music score. Everything just sort of came together to produce this movie that was just years ahead of its time and still being imitated to this day. So let's continue.
It's an epic of heroes.
Good luck.
And villains.
An An epic of heroes and villains. Well, you know what? I think the trailer does a pretty good job of telling us that, this is a tale of good versus evil. We see footage of Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia, and they're obviously the good guys because they're dressed in white. And we see, this guy with a cool black mask and a black cape and everything. So it's clear that he's the villain. We see him choking some guy, so he's demonstrating some evil shit. But one thing that I have to say that I can't excuse from this part of the trailer is this. Okay, what the fuck was that? Now, I know that a lot of the sound effects and special effects weren't completed until just before the movie came out, but come on, you're telling me that the sound effects editor couldn't have found something to cover that shit up? Anyway, enough about that. Let's get back to the movie itself. This movie created such iconic heroes and villains. I mean, I don't think there's anybody alive who hasn't at least heard of these characters. And if you look at pictures of them from the original movie, like publicity stills of Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Darth Vader, Princess Leia, they'd be instantly recognizable because they've literally become part of our pop culture fabric now. And I think what George Lucas did was he created such a simple tale of good versus evil that was so refreshing for the time. Okay, let's keep going.
And aliens from 1,000 worlds.
Aliens from 1,000 worlds. Oh, you know what? I'll give the trailer a pass. I think it does an okay job of selling the fact that, this is a world with some cool-looking aliens here. We see one of the Sand People attacking Luke. We see one of the Jawas. We see the creature from the trash compactor in the Death Star. I just don't know why they didn't include any creatures from the Cantina scene, because that's where you really saw the sheer variety of aliens. So maybe it's because they didn't have it shot when the trailer came out. I don't know. But I think they made a big miss there. But nevertheless, I think the trailer does an okay job of selling that. Now, as for the movie itself, well, again, what can I say? I mean, there's such imagination and creativity that went into the creature design of literally each and every character in both in the foreground and the background. And it all helped to create such a convincing and rich cinematic universe here. Okay, so that is it for the selling points, so let's finish off the trailer.
Star Wars, 1 billion years in the making, and it's coming to your galaxy this summer.
And the winner for Trailer v. Movie for Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope is by far the movie. And I gotta say that this trailer is probably one of the worst trailers for the best movies I think I've ever seen. It almost dangerously undersells the movie, and I don't think it does the movie justice at all. And it could be because 20th Century Fox didn't really know what to make of it when they were putting the trailer together. But anyway, the movie ended up one of the greatest movies ever made. So, thank you very much for watching, and if you like the video, I'll be making a lot more like it, so please hit that subscribe button.